Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel once again, and this is going to be another movie review. This movie that I'm going to be reviewing today was actually a request from a friend of mine, and it's an interesting one, I'll say the least. I'll get more into it. It's time to review The Cat in the Hat. And so, of course, as always, I'm not professional movie reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time. Which, uh, I this one's a weird one. I'm not gonna lie. This one's a weird one. This is the 2003 version, the live action version. So, you kind of know, maybe, perhaps, what I mean. But I'm kind of at a crossroads here. I'm not fully sure how to feel about this movie. Like, I can't. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around on what it is I had seen, but nevertheless, we're gonna try our best to dissect it anyway. So without further ado, let's get into it. And if you've seen these reviews before, you kind of already know this works. If you haven't, I'm gonna be talking about what I liked and disliked, as well as giving a bit of a plot summary. So starting with the plot summary, uh, he pretty much he see a family. He for a woman named Joan. She's a real estate agent. She has two children, Conrad and Sally. She's dating their next door neighbor. Her Lawrence, who they at least Conrad does refer to him as Larry, but nevertheless, nevertheless, Conrad is a troublemaker. He's a troublemaker of a child. Meanwhile, Sally is more so like she's more so by the rules. Who's almost a bit of a control freak. At times, essentially. There's the two children there, and it's hard for Joan to trust her. At least for the most part, Conrad, because he's always getting into trouble and causing mischief. In fact, we literally open with him causing. Actually, we open with Joan at the real estate office, but when we open to the kids, we see Conrad had causing mischief, but that's why Joan calls over a babysitter, or Miss Kwan, to watch over her children, and while she finishes things up at the office and gets prepared for her house party. He a house party. He house party to help sell the real estate and everything. More of an office party, if you will, but you get the idea. So, setting up her office party, she doesn't want the kids to mess anything up, so she hires a babysitter, and Mrs. Kwan falls asleep. Now, I've never babysat before, admittedly, but I do know that falling asleep is probably, unless you know the kids are going to be safe and secure, falling asleep is something you never really want to do. But trust me, that's the least of our worries. So, oh, 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 uh, as the kids are stuck inside and Miss Kwan is asleep, starts to rain. So trying to figure out what to do and everything. Which it does also have narration. It is a Dr. Seuss movie after all, or a Dr. Seuss book movie adaptation. But they're trying to find stuff to do. But that's when they run into the titular Cat in the Hat, who comes out of nowhere, scares the children and a couple times, but then and also is there pretty much to help them have fun because they want to have fun, and because it's raining outside and they're kids and everything, and the Cat in the Hat determines that he essentially figures out that Conrad is a troublemaker or slash like rule breaker, stuff like that. Meanwhile, Sally is a control freak, obsessive, stuff like that. But the Cat in the Hat wants to teach them to have fun. And at first, it starts by simply, jumping on the couch, which they're not supposed to do because they're not supposed to go in the living room. That was one of Joan's rules before she left. But they jump on the couch anyway, and then and they get into even more or shenanigans. And they try making cupcakes, but they just cause a big mess. And then the cat introduces things one and two, and they cause trouble essentially as well. Excuse me. So they are causing trouble all throughout the house as well. And the cat has a crate which contains the mother, her as he describes it, the mother of all messes. The cat in the hat usually doesn't have any rules except the contract he has the kids sign, pretty much saying like, hey, things will work out, they'll have as much fun as they want, and things won't go bad. But also tells Conrad not to open the crate, and to leave the lock on the crate. So Conrad naturally takes the lock off the crate, and the cat explains that the crate should not be open, but the lock is like a crab, and it's animated. It's alive essentially. And it goes missing. So it goes missing because it goes on the dog. And if I sound all over the place, that's because I kind of am, and the movie's kind of all over the place. But the lock goes on the dog, goes around his collar, and the dog runs away, so they have to go after it. So they put Mrs. Kwan on top of the case. And I should also mention that the goldfish is anthropomorphic as well, and is able to talk and everything. Or not really anthropomorphic, more so animated. It still has the properties of a goldfish, but it's able to talk. Yeah, so they go looking for the dog. Meanwhile, Lawrence catches them. He catches like the mess and everything, and sees what the kids are up to. And his arc as well is that he's trying to send Conrad off to military school, because Conrad is a troublemaker and everything. So he's like desperately trying to send them off to military school. He grabs the dog. He finds the dog and is able to have them, and he's gonna bring it over to Joan to show that her kids are causing trouble, but they are intercepted by the children and the cat. So the dog. The dog's intercepted. But Larry does try to get Joan to go back to the house in order to to bust the kids and what they've done to the house. And when the cat and the children come back, they find out that the box has been opened. Mrs. Kwan was taken off by things 1 and 2, who she was rolled off of the crate. So the mother of all messes pretty much takes the house and morphs it into essentially a weird alternate dimension. They find the crate, they put the lock back on the crate, and they contain the mess, but the house is destroyed, literally destroyed. Not like there's a huge mess. I'm talking literally destroyed. Like the walls are coming down, the ceiling's coming down, and that's when the kids have had enough. They kick the cat out. They realize they've had too much fun, and that the cat planned for all of this to happen. And so they're upset. They kick him out. They're prepared to face the consequences. But the cat comes back with his machine and fixes up everything in time for Joan to return. And so they don't necessarily have to face the consequences, because that was the thing. They said, you know what, we messed up, we screwed up, we're gonna face the consequences. But the cat comes in, so now they don't have to face the consequences. But nevertheless, then so Joan sees that everything is fine, even though Lawrence, who is telling the truth, tries to convince her like, hey, all that was going on, but Joan's having none of it, and she kicks Lawrence out. So they break up and everything, and then the party goes off without a hitch, and Joan gets to spend time with her kids, and the cat and things want to essentially walk off into the sunset. So so kind of a weird all over the place plot for a weird all over the place movie. He's starting with what I liked, I guess, as for starters, the cat, who is played by Mike Myers, so that's of course not only Shrek but Austin Powers as well. He has its moments. Like they try to make the cat as wacky and zany as possible, and making a whole bunch of references to just about everything. And admittedly, a couple of them were kind of funny. Got 1 or 2 chuckles on me, but otherwise, and the movie's only about an hour and 22 minutes, so it's not there long enough to really be offensive, I guess, as there are plenty of jokes that have aged like a tall glass of milk on a hot summer's day, but the movie's not long enough to where it really drags on and grates on. But that, and what I didn't really like about the movie is that it really feels weird. Like it feels like it takes the idea. Yeah, so essentially, I think like the whole point of the original Cat in the Hat story is that too much fun isn't a good thing, and that you essentially gotta have balance. You know, well the old story, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, but all play and no work makes Jack a mere toy. So essentially finding that balance between doing what you need to do and being able to have fun and stuff like that, which is what the original story gets across. And I think this movie tries to get across, but it's muddled down in what I have coined, a phrase I've kind of coined for the channel, 2000s cheese, where for starters, like the visuals are the visuals are really weird. It looks like a 2000s music video, for like a band like Smash Mouth or something. But the visuals are really weird, which I guess is ironic considering Mike Myers is here and Shrek and stuff like that. But the visuals are really weird and kind of I don't necessarily know about ugly, but like super duper colorful and just it's weird. Like I said, it literally looks like a 2000s music video stretched out to about an hour and some change, almost an hour and a half. It's weird in that regard. And then and a lot of the effects don't hold up the best. As I've seen way worse effects from other movies, but a lot of the effects, like for the time, I think they look fine, but they do look a little weird. This was a lot of time of CG and stuff, including the fish, who looked really really weird with the CG and stuff like that. And then excuse me, and just all kinds of all over the place antics with the Cat in the Hat, which it does get kind of annoying. Now, I think that was kind of the idea, is the cat was supposed to be, you're supposed to more and more be annoyed by him because, as you know, he's supposed to be fun at first, but he has fun a little too much. Actually, I think that's the idea, but I don't think it comes across the way they're intending for it to do so. Now, now I compare it. Now the comparison kind of comes up to Deadpool. Well, now you may be thinking, Nigel, why are you comparing it to Deadpool? Well, Deadpool, a lot of his humor is very referential, and there's a lot of potty humor and stuff like that, which this movie definitely does have in a movie for kids, mind you. But Deadpool has a lot of that. So why is it okay why does it make more sense for Deadpool to do it as opposed to the Cat in the Hat? I think my kind of rationale, and this is more so my thing, is that, and I'm trying to be as objective as possible when it comes to this. I think when it comes to Deadpool, a lot of it is funny, and he's able to balance it with more like and more so. I mean, not just in the comics, but also like the movies and stuff as well. Because as you know, I've seen the movies and everything, obviously, but I'd able to balance it out with its dramatic moments and really able to flesh it out. Meanwhile, the Cat in the Hat definitely feels kind of at least this movie's version of it, and I'm not talking about in terms of the original book and everything, but this movie's version of it feels a bit more one-dimensional, where essentially everything with them is a punchline. Deadpool, I feel like, has a bit more depth. A lot of his humor is very referential, very much potty humor, foul mouth, stuff like that. But I feel like there's a bit more to it, a bit more layers to it, and like I said, it's funnier. It's not over the top. I think this one does go a bit over the top. Deadpool can go over the top at times, of course, but I think they're able to tie it back with his character. The Cat in the Hat, I feel like they definitely aren't able to do so. They kind of just make it run a little too wild to where you don't really you don't really want to root for him Like you definitely don't want to root for him at all. And again, I think that's kind of the idea, and it ties into the kids learning the lesson and everything. But at the same time, I think it's really weird. It's a really weird dynamic. I think is what I'm getting at. It's a really weird dynamic when it comes to the character and which is why I'm kind of at this crossroads because it's like hey, there's this stuff going on, like there's stuff that I think doesn't really work the best, and obviously the book is way better, but then also it doesn't stay too long to be offensive, and I kind of get the idea of what they're getting at when it comes to the movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. Maybe I'm alone in this, but this one and one person who didn't like this movie was Audrey Giselle. I think. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Who was the widow of Dr. Seuss? She was so upset with the movie that she said, "All right, no more live action versions of Dr. Seuss's books." Between this and then How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which came out only a few years earlier, yeah, she could stand all she could stand, but she couldn't stand no more, or when it came to that. So they haven't done a live action adaptation of Dr. Seuss's books after this. The rest have all been animated. There was supposed to be a version for an adaptation that is for The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, but that one. And they didn't go with that, and this movie didn't do the best at the box office. It only made $133.9 million at the box office against a $109 million in dollar budget. Which yes, they are over their budget, but they don't make a lot in return. And I've kind of touched upon on box office and how box office successes are determined in the past. Essentially, they have to break even, which means about 2.5 of their budget, if I'm not mistaken. So, I definitely didn't do well there. Dr. Seuss's widow didn't like the movie, so. Oh yeah, this was the last live action Dr. Seuss book adaptation, and I kind of don't blame them. Like, is it a good movie? Absolutely not. Is it horrible? I don't think I'd go that far. I'd say it's probably mediocre. I'd say, some of the ideas I think are there. It has some potential, but I think it gets muddled down in some of that 2000s cheese and wanting to go over the top and stuff with it. That I think that's where it kind of falls flat, at least for me. And is it the worst movie I've seen in my entire life? No, I have seen way worse. It at least gets in it. It puts you out of your misery relatively quickly, but yeah, otherwise it's definitely far from a good movie. But they can't all be tons. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the movie, my review of the movie. Did you like the movie? Did you like my review of the movie? Let me know. Of course, there's tomorrow and Tuesday will be our WrestleMania weekend reviews. Tomorrow we're going to be reviewing NXT Stand and Deliver, and then Tuesday we're going to be reviewing WrestleMania 40. We're just going to tie in nights 1 and 2 together for that review, and I might even talk a little bit about Raw after WrestleMania as well. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.